Jonathan Isaby, who's editor of Brexit Central, the leading Brexit news website in the UK, joins me now. Jonathan, what does this possible rebellion mean? Good morning.
Well, the rebellion this incidentally isn't likely to happen until the 8th day of the committee stage, which will happen next month. So there's several weeks to pass before we actually get a vote on whether that date should be in law or not. Clearly, any defeat for the government during the course of this bill would be unhelpful to the course of getting Brexit on track. Although I do return to the fact that at the end of all this, that Article 50 was triggered earlier this year and by a substantial majority of MPs, as we remember. So we are on a course to leave the European Union on the end of March 2019 because Article 50 has been triggered. And if MPs want to play games with the bill that's going through at the moment, all they're going to do is potentially cause chaos in terms of not having a functioning statute book, which is the kind of chaos that they claim they want to avoid.
But many of these MPs surely find themselves in an extraordinary position in that they voted in favour of triggering Article 50, as you just mentioned, Jonathan, and now they want to hold the process up.
Yes, it is somewhat extraordinary, and I think a lot of them will have difficulty in explaining to their constituents and indeed the country, who, as we must not forget, voted for Brexit in unprecedented numbers at the referendum last year. More people voted for Brexit than have ever voted for anyone or anything in British electoral and political history. And the people expect the government to get on with delivering it.
I mean, the other side would say, Jonathan Isaby, they weren't fully armed with the facts. They didn't realise that there could possibly be the implications as regard trade and other areas.
I think we had a pretty full debate during the referendum and the run-up to it about what Brexit would entail. And indeed, some people on the kind of Continuity Remain campaign now say, oh, well, no, perhaps we can stay in the single market, perhaps we can stay in the customs union. No, things like that were completely clear. Indeed, the Remain campaign made completely clear that a vote for Brexit was to leave the single market and to leave the customs union, which are positives, by the way, because it means that we're no longer channeling billions of pounds every year to the European Union. We're not bound by a foreign court, the European Court of Justice, and by leaving the customs union, we will be free to negotiate our own trade deals with any country we like across the world, something we cannot do while we're in the European Union.
And lastly, what do you understand to be the beef of these Conservative rebels in detail?
Clearly they are people who do not like the result. They're frustrated at the fact the country did vote for Brexit. They are claiming that they don't want the government to be boxed in terms of the negotiations by putting this date into law. But, Keir Starmer, the shadow Brexit secretary for Labour, who is also obviously opposing this particular measure. He also said yesterday, he said this was a gimmick, but in the same breath said there's no doubt that we will be leaving the European Union in March 2019, which I think will cause confusion for most people.
Jonathan Isaby is editor of Brexit Central. Thank you for your time this morning, Jonathan.